Hello and welcome, BitMonger family. Quick update on Bitcoin, and as we head into the week, we can see that Bitcoin has had a pullback, and that's expected. I believe it was most likely sell the news event coming into this week because there's a lot of stuff going on. If you look here, we can see the top stories on Bitcoin. It is called Crypto Week. A bunch of bills and things are in the House right now and are going to be discussed and possibly voted on, and we are looking at whether or not these will be passed into law. And there's some really big things that are happening, so we're going to take a quick look at that. Here, this is Bloomberg, well-known business news outlet. Let's look and see what they have to say here.
I guess this could be a phenomenal week for crypto should these bills pass, at least two of them pass. And, with Bitcoin at an all-time high, it's just Goldilocks right now for the crypto industry.
That's definitely the narrative. Yeah. I think, to your point about the big, beautiful bill, when you have something named that has momentum around it, it's really driving sentiment. The big thing that people are looking for is what's going to happen with the stablecoin legislation. There is bipartisan support for that one. You still have some Democrats criticizing it, but if anything happens in crypto, people are expecting to end this week with, the president signing legislation affecting how stablecoins are regulated in the United States.
Okay, so that one is more likely to go through than the others. Do the other two bills have bipartisan support?
The other big one is what's called the Clarity Act, and it's so called because it would provide some specificity over what is the jurisdiction of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and what is the jurisdiction of the CFTC, which have been the two regulators that have both sort of shared oversight of digital assets, but not in a way that the industry has found clear or satisfactory. The third one is a little bit weird. It's a move to forbid the United States from ever issuing the equivalent of a digital dollar, what's called a central bank-backed digital currency. I think folks are if that one moves, fine, but they really want to see momentum on the Stablecoin Act, and they really want to see what happens with Clarity.
Okay, and that's it. Those are the three things. And as I had mentioned before, and I'll talk about a little bit more later in this video, is the Stablecoin Act is a huge issue, and it's a really big deal. And it behooves the U.S. government to adopt it, and I believe they will. The next one is the Clarity Act, and this one is also extremely important because up until now there hasn't been clear clarity when it comes to cryptocurrencies. The last SEC that was headed by Gary Gensler led by enforcement, and there was no clear path to be above board with him. I mean, multiple cryptocurrency firms had come to him. Cryptocurrency projects had actually written to the SEC, visited their office, tried to get clarity, and they wouldn't give a clear path in which they could do it without them coming after them. It was absolutely ridiculous. And, with my tinfoil hat, I think it had a lot to do with the fact that the Elizabeth Warren and this choke point in which they were trying to cut off crypto, and I think that was funded by a bunch of large banks, because the large banks are honestly afraid of cryptocurrencies because they know that they are going to disrupt their business big time. But it's inevitable. First they laugh at you, then they ignore you, then what was those three phrases? I can't remember what it is. I think it's first they laugh at you, then they ignore you, then they fight you, then you win, or something like this. And we're about to go, then you win. That's where we are at this process. Let's take a look at some other videos here on this. This one's interesting. I like this one.
We're going to hold in coming years. So it's kind of a win-win from that point of view, although ironically, it's then kind of fueling the very problem that crypto was meant to fix.
Well, precisely. I mean, it's been fascinating to see Tether become one of the U.S.'s biggest creditors. They were the 7th biggest buyer of American debt last year, eclipsing countries like Germany. So it's been this fascinating power shift with respect to crypto being a big player and helping enshrine U.S. dollar dominance.
And this is exactly the reason why, guys, these guys, US dollar tether and USD circle, USDC, you can see right here, and they just mentioned it here on CNBC, they are a massive buyer of US treasuries. So they want, the US government absolutely wants this bill to pass, because guess what? A lot of countries are no longer in buying U.S. debt. They don't want to buy the treasuries, and this will fill that void, guys. On the other bill, they're voting to stop any sort of central bank digital currency, because we don't want a CBDC. That's what it is, a central bank digital currency, CBDC. We don't want those because it's programmable money. It's kind of like, Orwellian. They could do things, they could spy. There's a lot of things that people dislike about it. We'll see if that one gets passed. Hopefully it does. I mean, nobody likes the idea of having them, be able to just click a button and shut off everything, even though you could argue they could do that today. But this would just make it much easier. All right. So I talked about the stable coins and why that's such an important aspect. And U.S. treasuries, this is the Bitcoin treasuries. We can see this is continuing to increase. In the past 30 days, it is up by 25 companies, or corporations, entities, I should say, that have stepped into this. It is just huge, guys. This is continuing to grow, and this is going to be big. Let's look at some Bitcoin analysis. So as we can see, it's trading at $118,000. It actually hit a little bit over 123K yesterday, so it's down 5K. It's expected due to this crypto week. I am not surprised that there will be some sell-off. Oftentimes that happens when you have large news events. People anticipated it, price runs up. When it starts to happen, the price sells off. So no surprises there. Again, areas of interest. Bottom line support level is right around 111K. I drew this uptrending trend line here starting back from the 22nd, and if this falls down and it bounces off of this trend line, we're looking at currently at around 112,000. If it's the next day, we're looking at around 112 and some change. The next day it would be at around 112.7. So let's go one more day out. And that's right there at about 113. So, anywhere between 100 and, if it does go down and touch to that trend line, like around 100, 112, 113 is where I'd be looking at it. So anywhere from all the way down on the very lowest level, I got 110.5 at the that would be the support line here, the white line. And then from this trend line going up, we're looking at roughly 111.8 going up to 112. So those are areas of interest. If it does actually go down that far, that's where I would be purchasing. If I'm using leverage, I would be looking to, make a position there. Or if I'm adding to my spot bags, if you are using leverage, make sure that you set a tight stop loss in case it does break below that. You don't want to lose money. All right, guys. Hope you're doing well, and Monger on.